Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on the Mic with Mike, the best business radio program around because we get the best and the brightest. Up next, a friend of the program, our good friend, CFO Adam. Adam K is here. Adam, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, Mike.
Okay, so you are our TikTok star accountant, financial guru. You got some important information out there to talk to our folks about. One, you were going to talk about the financial stuff. Then we're going to talk about the marketing of you and your brand, which is outstanding. And you're rocking the bow tie. My mother would be proud. See, everybody can't rock the bow tie.
Right. That's what I found too. Most financial people, you got the regular long tie, and sometimes you just have to stand out and pop that little bit of extra color.
There you go. All right, what you going to talk to us about today? Because I know it's important.
Yeah. So the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, or RRF. As we all know, restaurants have had a hard time over the last year with, forcing to be closed, not having to have indoor seating, only being able to do, carry out type orders, or, just not being able to be open at all. And so as part of the third stimulus package back in March, they created this Restaurant Revitalization Fund. So we've all heard of the PPP, we've heard of the EIDL, but this is kind of the newest program, and the application process just opened up on Monday the 3rd. And in the first 2 days, nationwide, 186,000 restaurants applied.
So Adam, we had on Carl Knobloch from SBA.
Okay.
But before he came on, I talked to some friends because they're like, oh, this SBA loan is coming out. This is going to be great. Some of the restaurateurs looked at it and got scared off. They were like, oh boy, this is kind of intrusive. Okay. SBA comes on and says, this is a great thing. Hey folks, this is out there to help the smallest of the small. Where's it fall, sir?
It's a good program. So, with any type of, loan grant program, yeah, you're going to have to give up some of your details. You're going to have to show, one, that you actually own the business that you are operating. Two, that you actually made money. So they have a couple different ways you can go about applying. So there's a application process if you were open before January 1st, 2019. There was an application process if you opened somewhere in the middle of 2019 up through the start of the pandemic, which they're basically saying like March 15th of 2020 is what they're considering the start of the pandemic. And then there's also an application process for businesses that were planning to open after March 15th, but either weren't able to or have had to open on a slower basis since then. So they have those options available. So even if you opened, or some of them, even if you haven't opened yet in 2021, there's a potential for applying for these. But yeah, you're going to have to give up those financials. And, then there are requirements. You have to use the funds that you get for eligible purposes. You can't go out and buy a Lamborghini. You can't go out and buy a vacation home. You have to use it in the business. So it's got to be used for things like payroll, rent. But the nice piece about this one versus the PPP or the EIDL is the use for regular business expenses. So buying, items for your food costs, for supplies, if you have to order, takeout containers, some of those funds from this grant can be used towards those things, which in the PPP, that wasn't an eligible expense. So there's pieces, especially on this one, it's completely focused on restaurants, so nobody else can apply. And it allows some of those additional costs to run and operate in where we are now. And, it's also things like, protective safety equipment. So if you're having to put up the plastic, shields, and if you're having to order additional, cleaning supplies and things like that, or having sanitizing companies come in and sanitize your restaurant, all of those things are eligible expenses to be used out of this grant money. So you don't just have to put it towards payroll or towards rent. It's these other things to actually keep your business up and going. Or if you're a restaurant that's able to create outdoor seating, the funds can be used to pay for that. So it's, to buy, picnic tables or regular tables to put up, a tent to go over it. So there's a lot of additional, leeway versus some of the other options that have been out there over the past 15 months or so.
All right, Adam K is with us. He is our favorite accountant who's out there. CFO Adam, how can people find you?
So CFO Adam is how I am across all the different social media sites. So TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or my website is accountantthatcares.com.
Okay, so to restaurateurs out there, no reason to worry or fret or be concerned about this program.
I don't see it. So the only potential caveat is if you don't use it for eligible expenses in the time frame that you're able to use it, that money is going to be considered a loan and you're going to have to pay it back. But because there's such a wide array of these expenses that you're able to use it on, I don't see, based on the way they calculate the amount and, what it's able to be used on, why a restaurant that's actually open and operating wouldn't be able to use it all for qualified expenses and basically give it completely forgiven so that they're not having to pay any of that back.
On the mic with Mike, CFO Adam here, breaking down the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. That's what we do here. We bring in subject matter experts. We're out there. Okay, we're closing in on tax season. We're in the fourth quarter. The clock is winding down. What's it look like out there, sir?
So there is now 10 days to go. We're recording on the 7th. So I guess when this will air on Monday, the 10th, there'll be literally a week to go to file your taxes on time. So for anyone that hasn't filed yet, file an extension. That gets you to be able to file the return out till October 15th. But you still have to pay your tax bill by May the 17th. If you don't pay it by the 17th, you're going to be assessed penalties and interest. So even if you don't file the return, make sure you still get that payment sent in, or at least a big chunk of that payment sent in to the IRS or to the state to make sure you aren't getting charged those late payment penalties.
So for our business owners out there, what are some of the things that you're seeing on a regular basis that you're saying, I've told these people over and over again, and still I show up on your doorstep with the same mistake over and over again? What is it?
One of the things is just keeping good records. So a lot of business owners that I work with, they're like, I want to do my books myself. I want to have an in-house bookkeeper so I can, kind of be in control of their activities and making sure that, that they're cutting checks to my vendors and things like that. But a lot of times those people aren't trained on doing all of those different tasks. They might have picked up a little bit here, a little bit there. And because they're an employee, they may not ask the boss, hey, what was this? Hey, what was that? And so you get misclassifications of different transactions. You get stuff that isn't going through the profit and loss that should be. You get stuff that like owner's draws that shouldn't go through the profit and loss that is. So it makes for more work for the accountant at tax time to go back and have to clean those up, which then costs the business more money because the accountant is going to charge them for that time to go in there and clean their books and review their books and things like that. So hiring a professional that's been doing it, looking, getting referrals, getting recommendations from current and prior clients is always it's a step that I tell business owners to take.
All righty, we got you here. So one of the great parts about having your own radio show is all the questions that people out there talking about, I get to ask the expert. Talk a little bit about the gig economy, what that means, record keeping, Cash App, PayPal, all those things.
Yeah, so the gig economy is growing each and every year. So, you've got things like Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash. Basically, if you have a cell phone, you can basically create yourself a business just by going out and doing some of those things in your spare time. So, a lot of people get into it and they're not necessarily looking for to treat it as a business. They're just like, hey, I can go and make some extra money. And then at the end of the year, they get a 1099 and they're like, what's this? And, they haven't kept any records of their expenses throughout the year. If they're driving for Uber, Lyft, or DoorDash, they haven't tracked their mileage. They haven't tracked, those other expenses that they could be taking. So, a lot of times what I'll suggest is QuickBooks actually online has a self-employed version. It's like 10, 15 bucks a month, and you can sync it right to your bank account. So you just go in there and say, even if you don't have a business bank account, you can go in there and say, okay, these are expenses attached to the business. These are expenses that are personal. and you just go through and you swipe like you're on Tinder. You swipe right, swipe left, and it'll categorize all those things so that when you get to the end of the year, you run a profit and loss based on it, and you hand that to your accountant, or if you're going to use QuickBooks or TurboTax, you just plug that stuff right into TurboTax and away you go. But that record keeping in those instances can be extremely valuable, because I've seen people, they get like a $15,000 1099. They haven't kept track of any of their expenses. Well, now they're paying possibly $5,000 or $6,000 in taxes on $15,000, and they've spent that whole $15,000. That's money that came in and went out. You went to pay their bills throughout the year, and they don't have $5,000 or $6,000 laying around to pay taxes with.
And then what do they do at that point?
Run and hide a lot of times, or like I'm working with a client right now. We're filing 5 years of tax returns for them, and the reason is because they got that first 1099. They didn't have any of their records. They tried to put them together. Life got busy. They put it off. The next year, the same thing. And they just kept in this cycle of not filing their taxes. So now we're 5 years behind. They're going to get charged penalties. They're going to get charged interest all the way back to when that tax return, because they got scared. They're like, if I just don't report it or I don't file those taxes, the IRS will never come after me. Which isn't the case, because that 1099 went into the IRS. So the IRS at some point is going to file what we call a dummy return, and they're going to show that all is income, no expenses against it, and send you a bill. And when anyone gets that IRS letter in the mail, they freak out.
Yes.
They're like, oh no, they're going to come and knock on my door and haul me off to jail. And the reality is the IRS, their staff has been decreased for the last almost 15 years, every single year. They don't have the enforcement staff to go out in person in most cases. So they're going to send you letters, because that only costs them, 55 cents for the stamp and another, 30, 40 cents for the, the envelope and piece of paper. And they'll just keep sending you those over and over again, because they can send you, 100 of those for the same cost of sending one person out to your house for an hour. So the best thing I always tell people to do is that they get an IRS notice, go to an accountant. Even if you don't have a prior relationship with an accountant, find one. And, I do this all the time for potential clients. I will review those IRS letters and see what they're actually asking for. Because I've had clients that have gotten these notices saying you owe $115,000. And in the end, they actually got a refund.
Yeah. I bet you were popular with them.
Very, they went from like I'm gonna have to empty my retirement accounts, I'm gonna have to sell my house, I'm gonna have to sell my car, to, oh, they actually owe me money. So there's things like that happen all the time, because sometimes it's just something didn't get reported, and if it doesn't get reported, the IRS is going to basically take the worst case scenario in your respect. They're going to show it all as income. They're not going to show any benefits against it, and and move forward and figure, hey, if they write us a check for this, we're happy, and we move on. If they don't, then it takes us more time, more effort to, to track them down to get this settled. So, working with an accountant, that accountant can also help in that process. Reach out to the IRS on your behalf and have a discussion from someone at the IRS that understands taxes, someone as an accountant that understands taxes, and they can talk in the same language to each other. And then the accountant can then relay that to the client and say, this is what the IRS needs. Here's, the next steps to get this taken care of. And then we'll see what the actual number is at the end of the day, if you actually owe anything at all.
Because you're an accountant who speaks English.
I do. I translate finances into English. So being able to do that, and that puts my clients at ease, because I'm able to speak how they can understand it. And not that my clients are, not intelligent. Most of them, have multiple college degrees and running businesses, doctors and lawyers and everyone else. But taxes is something that isn't taught in school. It isn't taught in college. And if you didn't have family members or parents that were really good with that kind of stuff, they didn't teach you it either. So there's this fear mongering almost out there where people are like, the IRS is the boogeyman. We need to be scared of them. They can, we hear all these stories. Oh, they took this person's house. They took this person's car. They took, they emptied out their bank accounts. And the cases where that actually happens are extremely tiny. They do happen from time to time, and that's a reality, but there's a lot of steps in the process before that happens. And the letter coming in the mail is the first step. If it's been years you've been receiving those letters and ignoring them, then you're starting to get into that danger zone of houses and cars and bank accounts and retirement accounts starting to be at risk. But it doesn't need to get there. And the IRS, at the end of it, they just want their money. So if you can set up a payment plan with them, great. If you can do an offer and compromise with them, great. They'd rather take, 20 or 30 cents on the dollar and get that now than get, a $100 payment for the next 6 years.
That's true. CFO Adam is here with us. So we got to take a break for a moment. How can people find you out there while we're going to break?
So on social media, CFO Adam or Work From Home Financial. And then my website is accountantthatcares.com.
All righty. We got to take a break. We'll be back on the other side more with CFO Adam.
You not only can get credit, but the trusted lender. Personal power.
Will be 6.5.
We've got solutions for all your questions. It's here to help you repair, and build your credit to get the lifestyle you deserve. Money back guarantee. We are committed to your success. Contact us today at 804-715-2395 or buildcredittrust@gmail.com for a free consultation. Enter promo code BC21 to claim 20% off your services.
Offer valid in the Commonwealth of Virginia and restrictions apply. 20% off of the services applied toward your enrollment fee.
The Henrico Economic Development Authority is proud to sponsor Biz Wednesday. The contributions of our diverse entrepreneurs power our economy. So we're thrilled to support a program that shines a spotlight on their businesses. If you want to learn more about how we're creating a more inclusive business community, visit Henrico.com today. Take a look at our small women-owned and minority-owned business team. Find out how we can help business owners from all backgrounds connect with the opportunities they need to succeed. The Henrico EDA is here for you. Discover more at Henrico.com.
Hello, I'm John Brent, Executive Director of the Colonial Heights Chamber of Commerce. We are a collaboration of business, government, and school professionals with a goal to enhance the Colonial Heights business community. When you join the Colonial Heights Chamber, you receive access to our weekly newsletter, monthly membership networking luncheon, our monthly community connections group, and so much more. These features can help you enhance your economic success personally and professionally in the Colonial Heights community. Learn more, join today at colonialheightschamber.com.
Welcome to J. Bella Photography. We also offer hair and makeup for a complete confidence boost, capturing memories and building confidence for women every day. You can find us on Facebook at JBellaRVA, and you can also find us on Instagram at JBella_photography_RVA.
Starting to open up. Are you ready to date? New Matchmaking is a safe, effective way to meet successful professionals. Everyone is vetted, background checked, and all matches are based on scientific compatibility. Let New Matchmaking take this one. For a personalized experience, your success is our success. Contact us at bluematchmaking.com or give me a call at 804-244-1298. Blue Matchmaking, where love grows.
Welcome to Miss Girls, located at 4809 Parkston. Open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. We take food back to the basics.
Next letter is brought to you by Cena Hospitality, a true leader in the RVA hospitality and event space industry. CenaHospitality.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. On the mic with Mike. I'd like to thank our weather sponsor out there today. Our weather is isolated thunderstorms in the morning, becoming more widespread in the afternoon. High around 79, winds out of the southwest 10 to 20 miles an hour. Chance of rain 60%. So the humidity is 59%. UV index is 7 out of 10. The low this evening is 48, and the sunset will be at 8:08. We are talking with, really quickly about Cena Hospitality. If you need an event space, they have event space all around the RVA area, multiple locations, top flight facilities. Also, if you need a hotel room to get away from friends, family, or whomever, make sure you contact them. Tell them Mike King sent you. We are back with our good friend, CFO Adam, TikTok star, accountant to the stars, man who knows his way around the social media game. Sir, let's talk about why accountants are not like you when it comes to social media, because you stand out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So it has been a long road and a long process to get to where I am today. When I first opened my business about 7 years ago, I was that accountant. I wasn't on social media. I wasn't posting anything regularly because I didn't see the value in it. So I was like, I'll do, kind of all the traditional advertising routes. I'll go to networking events. I'll do some newspaper ads. I'll do some Google ads, things like that. And I saw decent results. But then I was like, okay, what else can I do? Where else can I, kind of show off my skills, my abilities to people that I might not, interact with on, a daily basis. So that's where the social media strategy started. And it started on LinkedIn. So that was, about like 2 years ago now. Got out there, and for 6 months, I just kind of wandered around and was like, who's posting? How are they posting? What are they doing? To see just kind of what the platform was like, how people interact with each other. And the way I really got into it was I started commenting on people's posts. So I wasn't posting anything myself yet, but I was going in there and responding to what they were posting about. So putting in my 2 cents, adding a little bit of, insight or things like that, or asking questions of them about what they're posting about. And then I got to the point I was like, okay, I've tested this, I'm getting a good reaction from, getting good responses back to those comments. So let's flip the script and go over and start posting my own stuff. So that was probably 18 months ago. I started doing that, and I post basically every single day. I post videos, I post text posts, I post images. And if I look back at those original ones, it's scary compared to what I'm doing now, what I was doing then, because it was like these long text posts using up the whole 1,300 characters on LinkedIn, no breaking it into paragraphs, just literally just spewing
top
words
to bottom.
Yeah, exactly. And I started, as I was continuing to interact with people, I started seeing certain things happening from a lot of the people that were regularly posting. And so I've adapted those. So now it's in little chunks. It's much easier to read. You can read it on your phone. You can read it on your computer. And then at the beginning of this year, or I guess the middle of last year, TikTok was all the rage. Everyone's like, oh yeah, we're all at home. This is a great platform. People are on there dancing and singing and doing all these challenges and things. So I was like, okay, let me go and see if this is a platform that I can use too, knowing that it's only video. There's not really that text version of anything where you can just post like, a long, diatribe about something. And so it took me, again, about 6 months of just being on there and trying to figure out what it was. And I found this community of business owners on there. I was like, oh, there's much more than just, 20 somethings, dancing and singing. So started interacting with a lot of them, again, kind of the same way as on LinkedIn, making comments about their videos, if they're asking questions in their videos, or there's topics, related to business or finance or taxes, throwing in my 2 cents about those. And then at the beginning of 2021, I was like, okay, kind of the same thing. It's like, it's time. So I started recording videos just about tax topics. And the hardest part that I've found is you only get 60 seconds.
That's the hardest part. So you as an accountant only get 60 seconds to showcase your talents. Okay, so really quickly, we got about a minute to go. What's been the most popular one that you've hit out there?
The standard mileage rate.
So the standard mileage rate is still the gold standard.
It is. So I think it's at like 52,000 views at this point. Wow. I've had a couple other hit like 30 to 40,000 and a bunch at like the 10,000 view level. But the standard mileage rate, which was literally one of my first videos that I put out there, is still the one that's gotten the best results. And
really quickly, those turn into dollars for you. Those turn into clients. Really quickly, how can people find CFO Adam one last time?
Yep. So CFO Adam all across social media. So TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then accountantthatcares.com is the website. 804-829-3829 is the phone number.
Ladies and gentlemen, CFO Adam, we'd like to thank him. On the mic with Mike, we bring the Game Changers to you. We'll talk to you next. Thanks now. Take care. Thanks now.